So that's sort of a taste of what you might get out of the sharing part of this. But there's also this theory part of it. There's this like different way of looking. There's this collection of all sorts of different models and reframes and information. And we want to share one of those with you, which is this model of the 4 sexual brains. And I love the phrase that all models are wrong and some are useful. Human beings are vastly complicated creatures. And it's ridiculous to think that we can put all of our sexuality into 4 little baskets.
As much as we might want to.
Yes. So it's not true that we have 4 sexual brains, but also simplifying it down to 4 gives us some common language and a way of talking about it, and a new way of holding it and understanding it that can be really useful. So before we get into it, there's something to keep in mind first.
Yeah, so if you took that quiz and you came out with, oh, I'm a primal brain, or oh, I'm a connecting brain, or I'm whatever it was, you may have been like, but I answered those other questions that other way, and I'm partly like that, and I'm partly like that. Of course you are. We are complicated. And we all have access to all of these different ways of being. The quiz is designed to give you a sense of where your home base might be. And it's an entryway into looking at this model and of understanding ourselves and understanding other people.
So to quickly go through it, the 4 sexual brains, the first one is the protective brain. And this is the part of us that kind of keeps a threat profile in our mind and remembers every single way we've ever gotten hurt, or every single way we've ever gotten disappointed, remembers every story we've ever heard of someone else getting hurt. And it wants to make sure that that doesn't happen to us or to anyone else. So this is a part of our brain that's looking out for safety, that wants to pick appropriate partners, wants to only be sexual in appropriate times and appropriate ways.
And there's that connecting brain, that part of us that wants to reach out and really belong and really be with another person. We'll go into more detail on these in a little bit.
And the third one's the idealistic brain. It's the one that wants the best for ourselves and other people. It wants to have sex for a purpose. It wants to figure out what amazing thing can happen through our sexuality.
And last one is that primal brain, that part of us that is just hungry, wants it now. So let's move on.
You're on mute, Cliff.
Yep. So here's some qualities of protective brain. This one looks to protect itself, and others. It's about trying to kind of avoid harm. There's sort of a genetic coefficient of our brains that looks out for harm, looking at the risks, considers the risks, prioritizes safety, is very high, considers all the options, then wants to make the smart choice. It's kind of, the thinking part of this a little bit more. And it will hopefully consider some of the long-term consequences, like those bad relationships we had before, or what are the red flags, or, oh yeah, there's sexually transmitted infections, or whatever, thinks about those things and tries to sort of respect boundaries. So this one is all about trying to make it safe enough for love, but safety first. It's got to be safe so we can have love. This one wants to make it safe enough for love. I'll say in the interest of safety on the call that we're about 5 minutes back, guys. We've got to move it up a little bit here.
All right. Speaking of, keeping an eye on long-term consequences.
Yeah.
So the connecting brain is the part of us that longs to connect with others, longs for union, both with ourselves and, with other folks. Seeks belonging, be a part of something. And validation. One of the most validating things we can experience is to have somebody say, hey, I want you. Let's go out. This part of us also really loves pleasure. That glass of wine, the soft touch, the hot bath, the truffle. And it prioritizes feelings, that bursting forth of feeling. And so it tends to make the more intuitive choice, the choice that might be in touch with our heart and, and some of those little feelers that are going out. It loses itself in the moment like we do when we're experiencing intense pleasure. And it connects by being vulnerable, by opening up, by sharing some of those feelings and sharing what's going on. This part of us, and again, we've all got access to all of them, is also capable of accepting what is. That partner who, maybe does that annoying thing, well, but we love, right? And we accept that, and so we stay in it. This part of us wants to be in the pleasure with the partner.
The idealistic brain, this is the optimistic brain. So while the protective brain might be looking for risks, the idealistic brain is looking for the most amazing possibility for what could go right. And these are our fixers. These are the healers. When I'm in this part of my brain, I just want to serve another. I want to offer them the best experience that I possibly can. Here, sex becomes purposeful, becomes meaningful. This is the realm of elaborate fantasies, of romance, of tantric sex. And here, what I'm interested in is offering something significant. I might not even be interested in sexuality in the idealistic brain unless there's a purpose, there's a higher purpose of some kind. If someone's journey can be moved forward, if someone can be evolved from this encounter, healed, if we can raise consciousness, I'm asking myself, what can I offer? What can we create? And how can we make this even more amazing? And the part of you that was curious to sign up for this webinar may have in fact been your idealistic brain, because it's the part that wants to have it all, that wants to be fully empowered and fully showing up in your sexuality in all the dimensions that are possible. How can we make this even more amazing is the question here.
So the last one is the primal brain. And this is that animal brain, that part of us that is hungry for uninhibited physicality. I think of the primal brain, it's that switch that happens when you go from foreplay to like ready to get hot and heavy. There's this like, shows up. It's that part of us that wants to throw someone on the bed and just ravish them, or wants to be thrown on the bed and just be ravished. This part of ourselves prioritizes desires. What is it that we want? And it makes the instinctual choice. It's going to go with what the body wants, with what the gut wants. The primal brain knows exactly what it wants. It's not dithering. It's not confused. It's not, do I want this one or that one? It's like, no, that one right there, right now. And it's willing to overcome obstacles to get what we want. So if you're in a long-distance relationship, primal brain is going to find a way to make it work. If you're a Capulet and they're a Montague, you don't care because you want each other. And you're just going to go for it. And it can ignore red flags. And it can ignore other points of view to go after what it wants. And it can also be really loyal to those that you make a connection with. If somebody earns your trust and you form a connection, then the primal brain is going to be fiercely loyal to that. At the end of the day, it's the part of ourselves that wants it and wants it now. So, we've given you these 4 baskets. What do we do with them? What's the point? Why break it into these? And this is the way we see the value of looking at our sexuality this way. First is an understanding that no one brain is right or wrong. And we all have all 4 of the brains, and all 4 of them are valuable. But we tend to access them in different order. Some people will go, I need to know it is safe. I need to know that I trust somebody before I can open up. And once I trust somebody, then I want a connection. I want to really be intimate. I want to share time talking and touching. And then maybe there's some higher purpose for it. And then once you get there, then we can get hot and heavy. And someone else might be ready. Hey, I'm ready to go hot and heavy with anyone, anytime. I'm there. I'm not scared. I'm excited. And if you get that connection, if you get somebody who's also excited and ready to jump in, then you start forming a bond. And then it starts to get even safer, so you can go even further. And maybe then you want to go and do some higher purpose with it. So people are coming at it from different directions. But if someone who's safety first meets someone who's raw first, then there can be this disconnect. And each can blame the other one for being wrong, for being shallow or meaningless or aggressive. The other person can be like closed down or shut off. And two people who might be able to dance in all four are totally closed off from one another because they're starting in different places. So if you can see the beauty in all four.
Yeah, and the goal of our model is to come into a place of appreciating all of them. Some of you might know Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and sitting at the very top of that model is self-actualization. So this is one way that we can move towards driving with all four wheels on the ground, towards filling out our own shoes. And like Giles was just saying, it can be really helpful for connecting with people. Because if I'm only able to access one of these brains, if you will, then people are only attracted to me or compatible with me who are attracted to and compatible with that brain. So I can expand my ability to connect with increasing types of people by being able to reach into my own tool belt and access any of these brains in the right moment. Can also help us to resolve conflict because we all have a different batting order for these brains. And so if I can understand where a potential partner or my current partner is starting from, and then we can work together to bridge that gap so that we can start on level playing ground and then rise up and create things from there. Ultimately, our goal is to be able to move fluidly through all of the archetypes whenever the moment calls.